All right, welcome to the San Diego Unified Office Skills Training video series, Tips and Tricks. In today's video, we'll be discussing how to share a Google Sheet. So welcome everyone today. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my sandy.net Google Drive. I can tell this is my sandy.net Google Drive because if I hover over my account information over here, I can see it has my sandy.net email address. So to be able to share a Google Sheet, I have some practice ones that we're going to use here, and I have them in my practice folder. So let's go ahead and drill down into that by double clicking. All right, and in here I have several other folders with additional things inside and also several files. And so just for the purposes of practicing today, I have my little practice Google Sheet right here. And so I'm going to go ahead and just double click on this to open it up. And when I do that, we see that it opens up in a new tab in our browser. And that helps us to remember that all things Google happen up in the cloud, which is a euphemism for the internet. Or stated differently, it's every click of the mouse, every stroke of the keyboard is interacting with the Google server farms at near the speed of light. And so everything that we do is being recorded. And that's why we never have to actually say save in any of the Google apps that we do. But here we have our pretend Google Sheet here. Put a couple of nice horses there. I love horses. And so the first way that we can share is simply, well, first just note that we're in the Sheets user interface here with the quick access toolbar and everything else. But up at the right-hand corner of the user interface, we see the share button. And so we just click on that. And immediately we see some options here. So we take a look at it and it says add people and groups. So at this point, all I need to do to be able to share with my colleagues from San Diego Unified is simply put in their San Diego Unified email addresses one at a time, or I can copy a giant list somewhere that I have of all the email addresses of people in my department or at my school site or however you may have it saved, and then simply paste it into this area here. For our purposes, I'm just going to add one at a time. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit the letter T and see what comes up. Now, and here we have some of our pretend co-workers we have here. Trainer T1, John Lennon, Trainer T2, Paul McCartney, and Trainer T3 is George Harrison. And of course, the last one would be Ringo Starr. For our purposes, we're just going to do John Lennon first and go ahead and just click on his name. And now that his name is clicked there, we have some options. If we want to, we can make Trainer T1 an editor, which is the default setting. Or if we just want John to be able to view this practice Google Sheet, then we can select this one here. If we want John to be able to view this practice Google Sheet and also make comments, then of course we can select this one here. For our purposes, we're just going to keep John at this point an editor and leave it at that. So if I wanted to send this off at this point, I could then type in a message here saying, hey, John, this is the Google Sheet I was telling you about, and please make whatever changes to it that you need to as an editor. And then I could just simply send it. Now, depending on how John has his notifications set up, he'll either get a message across his browser, assuming that he has his browser open, or he can actually get an email. And that is something for a different video where we set up our notifications and how we receive notifications when something has been sent to us or shared with us. All right, so one more thing before we go on, I just wanted to point out this little icon up here. This is the settings icon, and if you click on that, we have a few additional options. So we have two boxes checked here. If the top one is checked, it's saying that editors have the right to change permissions and share. So what that means is anyone who's an editor of this practice Google Sheet can then make other people editors, or they could make editors change them into just view only, or they could completely remove them from the sharing of this. And so if that box is checked, we give editors that right. If we don't want to allow them to change permissions, add people, remove people, change whether they can view it or view and comment and or be an editor, then we simply deselect this button here. As we add more people to this particular practice Google Sheet, if this box is checked, then viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy. If we don't want individuals that are just viewers and/or viewers and commenters to be able to download, print, and copy, we simply deselect this, and that'll be that. So that's what we can do simply by clicking over here on this settings icon. So for our purposes, we're doing just fine. We're going to go ahead and say send. All right. In just a moment that disappears, and we see this little banner up here, person added. Of course, so that's our trainer T1. If I go back to there now and look at the share button, then I can see that trainer T1 John Lennon has been added, and he is in fact an editor. And of course, we see the little more button here, or the little drop down menu. So if we click on it, we now have a few additional options. In addition to changing to viewer and viewer with the ability to comment, we could do that, or we could change it now and say give temporary access only. If we wanted to for some reason and make trainer T1 the owner of this document, have complete control over everything, then we could transfer ownership. Or if for some reason we need to remove trainer T1 from the sharing of this document, we could do that right there. Let's take a look at this one, give temporary access. This is pretty cool. So this is telling us that access expires in 30 days. And if we want to change that, we can click here, of course, and do that. And then we only have a few options here. Let's take a look. We can make them commenter, viewer, or editor again. If we make them an editor, it actually takes them out of the temporary access. So it looks like they only have temporary access as a commenter. All right, we're gonna go ahead and leave that as it is for right now and say save. All right, and then I'm gonna go back to my Google Drive, and we're gonna go back to where my Google Sheet, my practice Google Sheet is here in my practice folder. Now there's another way that we can do this. So in our Google Drive, you'll notice there's no icons up here in this space here, but as soon as I click on any file, you'll see suddenly there's the ability to get a link, the ability to share, the ability to do a preview, to toss into the garbage. And then whenever you see an ellipsis, whether it's horizontal or vertical like this, it usually means it's a more button and there's additional items that you can do to that particular file. For our purposes, we're just going to click on the practice Google Sheet here, and we see that we can go to sharing there. That's certainly one way to do it. Or we can get that same list by right-clicking, and everything that was up here, including what's in the ellipsis, is now right here in the little shortcut menu that comes up when you right-click. So now we'll go ahead and click share. All right, so here we have trainer T1 is a commenter, and he's only a commenter for 30 days. All right, let's go ahead and add some more people. So I can click up here and then click T, and it's going to bring up the most recent T's that I've done. And so now we could add Paul McCartney if we'd like. I'll hit T again, and we can add George Harrison, and why not? Let's go ahead and add Ringo Starr, so all of them. And let's go ahead and make them editors. We'll say send. All right, now since this is still highlighted in this gray blue, I still have these symbols up here, so I can go back to there again. And now I can start to do things again. I can start to change and say Paul McCartney, we're just going to make him a viewer. And maybe Ringo Starr hasn't been behaving, so we've decided we're going to remove him from the list. We could certainly do that there. And as far as John Lennon being just a commenter, let's make him an editor again, which takes him out of the temporary. And we'll go ahead and save those changes. All right, so as you can see, you have complete control over sharing your, in this case, practice Google Sheet. And you can change the permissions of the individuals that are in there at any time. You can add more, you can add dozens, you can add hundreds if you want, but there's something more that you can do. So for example, right here is a little thing that says get a link. So I can click on that. But there's a different way to do that as well. If I just right click on this, I can also get a link right here. It's the same thing. Or we're just going to go back to where we were just to show you the other way to do that. And so right now we have this basically restricted to these three people, since I took Ringo Starr out of there. And but down here we have get a link. And if I want to link to this particular document, I can simply just copy it right here. But right now it says restricted, only people added can open with this link. That would be these three people here, T1, T2, and T3. So if I click down here, share with San Diego Unified School District. So now it's saying anyone in this group with this link can view. So if I copy this link, I can then put it on a web page, or I can put it on an email and a blast out to a bunch of people and say, hey, here's the link to get to this. And I have the ability to share that with anybody with the sandy.net email address, or stated differently, anyone that works for the district, they will all get the sandy.net email address, then they can have access to this. And with that link, when they click on it, they're going to be viewers at this point. But check this out. They allow you to be viewers and commenters, or you could make everybody in the school district that has that link, whether it's a whole department, the entire school, whatever the case may be, just your school site, or the whole entire district, you can actually make them editors. And that seems a little silly to have everybody editing the same Google Sheet in this case, but that certainly is an option. But wait, there's more. And so if I go back up here and I click on that, you can see that we have the check mark here for San Diego Unified. But look at this. I can also say anyone. So let's say you have a document, or in this case, a Google Sheet that you want to share with parents from a particular school site. If you want parents to be able to see that Google Sheet, you can copy this link, and they don't have to have a sandy.net email address to access this. So anyone on the internet that has access to this link can then have access to it in whatever permissions we set. Now, again, that would be a little silly to have parents being able to edit this. So most likely they would just be viewers. And so we could change it back to that. So now we've got kind of a combination of things. I'm going to go ahead and say done here real quick. And then we'll just go back up here to, since I still have this selected. Again, remember, if you just click one time instead of twice, you don't actually open up any of these files. You simply just select it. I can go back up here. And so we see that we have these individuals with certain rights that we gave them one by one. And then we set it up that anyone on the internet with a link has the ability to view it. So let's just go back right now and change that real quick. And I can simply just go up here to restricted. So now it says restricted, only people added can open with this link. And of course, that's those individuals up here. And again, if I want to add more, I certainly can, or I can change the permissions of these individuals here and change from one permission set to a different one. And if I want to add another person, of course, I can always go back and add Ringo Starr, and we'll make him an editor too. And again, since I just added him, if I want to type in a message, here you go, Ringo. Thank you for behaving. And now you can edit this practice Google Sheet. And then I could go ahead and just say send. And so now he would get that message in his notifications. And now all four of the trainer T1, T2, T3, and T4 are now able to share this document with me and actually edit it. So that's how you can share a Google Sheet. There's multiple ways to do it, either by a link, or simply by typing in the email addresses of individuals or groups of individuals, as the case may be. So thank you so much for coming to join us today. And we hope that you will spread the word about the Office Skills training. And also remember that we have our PeopleSoft trainings, and we also have our Power School trainings. And we hope you will come join us with additional trainings. So thank you so much and have a great day.